And I was arguing with Sophie.
Were you arguing though?
Yes, I was.
Didn't look like arguing to me.
We was. What does it look like?
Looked like you were chatting to each other.
We was arguing, and
And why did you go into a photo booth to argue?
The photo booth was open, and the first thing is that I didn't want to argue on the dance floor, screaming and shouting in front of everybody.
I'm actually pleasantly surprised that the conversations with the parents, even though there was a bit of resistance from Jed's mum and Sarover's mum, it wasn't as toxic or as bad as it's been in previous seasons. So I think families have learned that whatever conversations or opinions they have to do that in private. And it seems this is what has happened. And then the situation with Megan and Javen, personally, it's semantics. At the end of the day, did he get into a photo booth? Yes. Did he spend time with the girls? Yes. He is now holding on to the fact that Katisha told him that he was told he spent all night with the girls. That's not what we heard Megan say. Megan didn't say he spent most of his time with the girls. She said he was flirting with 3 of the girls, which we saw in the pod squad meetup. So I don't quite get it. I'm thinking of doing a little sort of conversation about, the situation with Javen and everybody else after the show ends. And I'll wait to see a couple of other interviews that he does, especially given how I feel on the, Netflix podcast. He tried to throw Megan under the bus, but that's a story for another day. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe, click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love is Blind UK, Season 2, Episode 8. It's cute to see the couples the morning after the mixer. You have poor Megan. She can barely keep her eyes open. I assume she really must be hungover. And I love how Kieran was able to diffuse that and not make it as awkward or uncomfortable. So that was really cute to watch. You have Billy and Ashley going to Bangor, Northern Ireland. And he was able to demonstrate, where the emergency exits are and stuff. So it was nice to see him participate in her job. It's a pity he's not sort of processing all that very well. All he's thinking about is the schedule, and that's where his mind is. Bardha and Jed, they did the waxing. I thought that was really cute. I really did. I thought it was cute. I really liked it. I like the fact that he's accommodating and he'll allow her to do what she wants to do as long as it's within reason for him. So that was really cute. Finally, we catch up with Javen and Katisha. It's the morning after he went to the party and left her. So you have Katisha ask him, how was the party? Who was there? And the audacity to say Anu, Yolanda and Sophie. That shows that that's who he was interested in. He could have easily started off with the guys, but the fact that he started with those 3 girls doesn't make sense. He then brings up Patrick and Demola and the rest of the guys that were there from the pods during the pod squad mixer. He says out of the couples, it was only Kieran and Megan and himself. And it's like, oh, it's about to be messy. It's about to be messy. So you have Katisha ask him, did you not notice that I was upset before you left? And for him to say, well, you should have said something. If I'm your partner, if you care about me, you should be able to see that something is not right. Whether you know the intimate details of why something is not right is different. You should know that, oh, she doesn't look happy, or she looks happy, or she looks sad, or she's crying. He should have picked up on that. For him to throw it back at her that you should have told me that you are unhappy, and it's like, make that make sense. How are you not able to read your partner and actually pick up on cues that something is not right? What sort of person are you? And then for her to say to him, I was worried that you'd be hungover meeting my family, and it's very important to me that you make a very good first impression. For him to say, oh, did you think I would do that I would come and see your family hungover? And it's like, every single time she asks him a question, he answers her with a question. He will never give her the answer that she wants. And this is what you get when you go for what you think is the prize instead of the prize. This is why Katisha is in the situation she's in. In their apartment, you have Megan and Kieran having a conversation about the party. And Megan is saying, I am not happy. I don't like the way Javen was very flirty with the girls, because I saw him flirting with quite a number of girls. I don't think that was appropriate, given the fact that he's a man who's on his way to marriage. So it doesn't make sense that why would he be doing that? And she also brings up the fact that he took Sophie into a photo booth. And it's like, why would he be taking Sophie into a photo booth? Given the conversation he had with her, when she was saying, oh, everyone will see me for JJ, he was asking her, where do you live? Are you dating? Are you this? So why would he go into a photo booth with someone unless you're going to fix the address, and she doesn't need to go with you, she could take one of the girls into the photo booth. There should be toilets. She could have gone into the toilet with someone. I have a feeling when they were giddy and they were smiling and whatever, he wanted to make out with her, and this was his opportunity, because in the photo booth no one would see what was happening, because why else would he be there? So you have Megan say she feels she needs to let Katisha know what happened, because she wouldn't be a good friend if she didn't do that. And for Kieran to say he's very close friends with Javen, but he can't sit there and allow her to hide the fact that what she was doing was right. It's not appropriate. Because she is saying, well, Megan is saying, if the same thing happened, I would want Katisha to come and tell me. That way I know, so I can't sit on this information. I have to go and tell her. And then she does with it what she wants. And that's the best thing. That's the best. Because I am willing to bet anything, because they've had this prior conversation. Had nothing happened, or had, there'd been sort of debate on what happened, then Kieran would have said, no, maybe you need to wait until we confirm the details. So he must have seen exactly what his partner saw. This is why he's okay with her going to reveal it. And I can't wait for that to happen. Sarover and Carl having a conversation about her mum. Her mum has been the villain parent this season, seriously, because of the way they keep bringing her up. The fact that, Carl is complaining that I don't get why they just can't be happy for us. You have Sarover saying my mum is worried about the process. Every parent would be worried. Unless you actually know what it is, you'd be worried, because your child is getting married to a stranger that you barely know. You don't know what he looks like, his morals, his values. And so those are things that you'd question. And as a loving and caring parent, you'd have questions. And, I don't see why they're making her the villain. You have Carl say, he doesn't understand why the family have to be involved in this, situation and make a decision for them. His family were happy for them. He doesn't get why Sarover's family is not happy. And Sarover's like, Indian families are massive, and with family comes drama. So sadly for you, you chose an Indian girl, and here we are. And then finally, Billy and Ashley get to meet his mum and sister. I thought it was the cutest thing ever. I really did, because his sister and mum were very welcoming. I really loved that. They had put out this spread. They had cakes, they had biscuits and stuff, and then they had a little bit of fruit. And then the sister was asking, how do you feel, Ashley, about cakes? And she said, oh my God, I love them. This is amazing. And then Billy was looking, and the mum went, Billy, we have fruit for you. And that was cute, because this is something that has been a problem in their relationship. So the fact that the mum was able to show him that, yes, you can have cake and fruit by the side. You don't need to just have one or the other. So that was really cute to see. I love that, they were very open and sort of asked questions in regards what are the concerns in the relationship. And Billy was talking about her job. She works she's cabin crew, so I'm worried about that. And it's like, oh my God. He went into the kitchen to make a cuppa with his sister and was having conversation, saying he's worried because at the end of the day she goes away for 4 days, comes back for 2 days, and it's like, Ashley could say the same thing. He is not based in one situation. I understand he could deploy at any moment. What if she says she doesn't want her husband that goes away indefinitely? What would he say? Because he has to understand that it's not like his job is 9 to 5 and is cemented in one building. He could be moved across the country. He could be moved to a different country. So the idea that he is just magnifying that and focusing on that, it doesn't make sense. I love that the sister was approving as well of Ashley. She said she really likes Ashley. I think Ashley's a sweet girl. I really do. Billy, then they spoke about divorce and him not wanting to get divorced again. So he's really taking that into consideration. And it's like, maybe Ashley made a mistake by begging this man to marry her. Maybe she should have waited and sort of found her own person. That would have made more sense. I really loved Katisha's family, because you had Katisha and Javen go and meet up with his mom and siblings, I assume. And it was really cute because the kids were really excited to see Katisha. I assume they haven't seen her in a while. So they were excited to see Katisha. They sat down and, he was introduced, and then it came up that they're engaged to be married. The siblings were shocked. And then eventually, I think it's the brother, he then later said, oh, congratulations, I'm happy for you. And it's like, it would be nice if she had a a great guy. It would be nice if she had a great guy. I am side-eyeing Javen because he knew he was coming to meet her family and behaved the way he behaved the night before without sort of taking them into consideration and how they would feel when they watched the show after. That was very disrespectful, in my opinion. I love the venue in which they had the meetup in the sense that they had it in this sort of play area so the kids could go off and play and the adults could stay behind and have a conversation. So the kids went off to play. You had, Javen be asked by the mom. Well, the mom said, Katisha's looking for a guy who will love her the way her dad loves me. And he asked, what do you mean? And she said, her dad treats me like a queen. And, he takes me into consideration in everything that we do. And it's like she had a guy who did that for her, but she didn't want him because she said it didn't seem genuine. She went for what she thought is the right thing. And so I don't know how I feel about that connection. I really don't. And I'm side-eyeing Javen for him to sit there with a straight face and look this woman in the eye, knowing for a fact that he's playing her daughter. I didn't like that. I really didn't. The mom said, I want my daughter to be happy. So if you make her happy, then, you're welcome into the family. And it's like, nah, he's not the one for you. I wonder how the mother feels seeing her other connection and seeing how that went down. I would have really wanted to see that. I would have really wanted to see how her mother feels having seen Katisha with both Siobhan and Demola and see her reaction to that and her comment or her opinion. You had Katisha sit down with her mum and sort of have a conversation, and Katisha was saying to her mum, we're still working on the communication. We're really struggling. It seems he's not very open. And his family had said this before, so this is nothing new. She said, the mum was saying her past experiences affect her dating. Well, to some extent, it seems like she chose her comfort zone. She didn't want to step out into the unknown. Maybe she should have stepped out into the unknown because in 4 weeks she would have made a decision to say, this is it for me or this is not it for me. So the idea that she didn't step out, that's really sad because she stayed with what she knows and what she knows is not treating her very well. Sarover and Carl met up with her mum and sister. Oh, they met in Buckingham. Posh, aren't they? It looked very... They met up in what looked like a pub. So they sat in a pub. There were other people. I'm surprised that Netflix didn't kick everybody out. But hey, I love that the mom was very upfront. She said, what's different and unique about our daughter? Are you ready to get married? The fact that she had a checklist of questions and she made sure that he answered them. I was surprised. I don't know whether it's the edit, but Carl was stumbling. He was stumbling when he was asked what is about her that makes it different. He didn't give a concrete answer that I could pick up on. Yes, he eventually was able to win her over. I think he was more comfortable, but at first I think he was shocked because he expected everybody to eat up whatever he was dishing. So for the mum to question him, that's something that wasn't on his bingo card, and I think this is why he was taken aback. The sister was cute. I loved it. She was just sitting there. She was just there for the entertainment. I think she was there for the experience. That way, when it's her turn, she knows what to do. It's nice that he brought up that he owns his own gym, because the mom would then question, is he after my daughter for her money? Because she owns her own, company. So it was cute to see them sit down, have conversations, and the parent actually ask the questions that need to be asked. Because I think most times parents are very afraid of the backlash of the viewers. So I love that Sarova's mom was upfront and asked all her questions before she gave her approval. So you have Jed and Bardha go to Essex to see his place. It really seemed cute. Personally, I like that all the apartments were clean, regardless of the fact that some of them were very minimalistic, especially with Jed's situation. But I feel like Bardha didn't need to go as hard as she did. Yes, it was nice that she was envisioning herself in the place, but she could have kept those opinions for when they were married or when they got back to their apartment in Manchester. She didn't need to appear to be nitpicky and sort of picking his place apart. His mum and dad came, they brought food, they had cooked food, so it was nice to see the food there. I wish they had eaten it, but they were more focused on the conversation. And his mum had a lot of questions because she asked, Bardha, why did you choose Jed? What was it about him that stood out? And Jed was she said Jed made her comfortable, he was easy to talk to, and they share the same values, they're both family orientated, which was really nice that, his mum had a lot of questions. At one time, you sort of saw Bardha sort of retreat into herself because she was questioning whether they really liked her, because the reception she got was totally different to the reception that Jed received from her family. And at one point, you could see that she was becoming very nervous. So you had Jed's dad step in and say, I am an easygoing guy. As long as the two of you are happy, I'm happy, let's go. But his mom tends to worry a bit. And I think you could see that, his son was becoming uncomfortable with the questioning. And he could see that his son was now worrying that Bardha might be put off because of this. So they had conversations, and then it got to the parents' marriage. Apparently they've been married for 34 years. And so the mom was, Jed's mom was asking, are the two of you sure? Because I don't want you to be caught up in the hype. Which is true though, because at times you get caught up in the hype with production whispering in your ears, with the cameras and everything, and you're visiting nice places, and you forget that they will all switch off, and then it will just be the two of you. Because a lot of people have hinted that the most crucial time or the most challenging time after being on these experiments is when the cameras and production go away, because now you're left with a stranger and you're sort of questioning everything you do, because prior to that everything was being scheduled. So I love that the mother in the end seems to be on board, because I think they make a cute couple. We barely get to see them, I think, because they're very easygoing, and production have really struggled to find any sort of toxic material when it comes to Jed and Bardha. And I don't know what argument they're going to have, because it seems they have an argument in the upcoming episode, so I don't know about that. Katisha then met up with Megan for a chat. I feel like it was producer arranged. This is my opinion. I feel like it was producer arranged, because you had Megan already say she felt some type of way. So she sat down with Katisha and just said to her, how do you feel about, Javen going out without you? Katisha said, she felt some type of way. It then got to a point whereby she had no choice, but Megan had to own up and say, I didn't like the way he behaved, because he spent a lot of time with Yolanda, and he was being inappropriate with Yolanda, he was being inappropriate with Anu, and he was definitely inappropriate with Sophie. This was confirmation, because it didn't take much to convince Katisha, because Katisha already suspected this from his behavior around the girls at the group mixer. That's the impression that I get, because she was too quick to jump on board. Unless there were bits that were edited out, I feel like she was already suspicious from how he behaved at the Pod Squad meetup. The fact that he was flirting with Sophie, he was giggly, he was giddy, and everything he was doing with Anu and Yolanda. I'm not surprised that she took it on board and ran with it. And so when the issue about him going into the photo booth with Sophie came up, I think this was confirmation for her, because he had already asked her, where do you live? Are you dating? What does that mean? Him looking her in the eyes and saying, oh, don't do that, and giggling. That shows there was already a sexual attraction there, and he was just waiting for his opportunity. So Katisha then took this on board, because she was upset that, she's already had an ex who behaved that way. And Megan was saying, the reason why I'm telling you this is because of your history with guys. And I don't want you to go into this blind and not realize exactly what's going on. This is what I saw with my own two eyes, and I want you to know about it before you make any commitments. Which was good, though. I commend her for doing that. She didn't give anything that I would question. Yes, there's his side, her side, and then there's the truth. And she says, when we're coming home, I asked him, what is it about the other girls? And he said they make him happy. So Yolanda, Anu, and Sophie make him happy, just as happy as Katisha does. And this triggered Katisha, because at the end of the day, that's his wife-to-be. How can he be just as happy to see her as he is the other girls? That didn't make sense, and I don't understand what he thought he was doing. I have a feeling he expected everybody else to be on board with whatever nonsense he was selling. So Katisha then went home and had a conversation with Javen. She was asking him, why were you with Sophie? You were hanging around the girls all night. And he started kicking off. He started sort of wanting to answer a question with a question, because he said to her, how could you believe Sophie over me? And it's like, maybe because your behavior and your attitude have sort of led me to this prior to me hearing about whatever you did. This is nothing new. This is just confirmation for what I understand you did. And so for him to hold on to the fact that, oh, she said that you spent all night. No, you were flirting with the girls. It doesn't matter whether you're flirting for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. You were flirting with the girls. You went into a photo booth with the girl. So everything else, the duration of it, doesn't matter. It only takes a minute to get someone, not even a minute, to get someone pregnant. So please take several seats. Sarover and Carl went on a date. They were very happy. They feel like the mix or the meetup with her mom went way better than they expected. So that was good for them. They really seem at peace. They really seem comfortable. But I feel like they're still meeting each other's representatives. You had Carl sort of say to Sarover, I'm happy that you've made me feel comfortable. Normally I struggle with most girls because I'm always looking for the exit. And yet with you, I want to spend more time with you. And it's like, well, if that's what she thinks, hey, if that's what he thinks, hey, good for them. Katisha then wrote a letter to, Javen to say we're over. She left her ring. She said, more or less what is done has confirmed, or what I've heard confirms my suspicions. I feel like she always suspected that there was more to this guy. And although a little voice was telling her, this is not your guy, this is not your guy, she really had herself convinced. And he had an amazing time. I called it when I said they shouldn't have had sex. And he used that to sort of shut her eyes to anything, to other opinions. So she left her ring and she left and she went. Do I think it's a good idea? Yes, I do. It was time for her to leave. She should have left after the reveal, before they even went to Greece. She should have left, or even when they came back from Greece, she should have left. But I think she really wanted to see the good in this guy. Sadly, the good didn't exist. He came back, he picked up the letter, he read the letter, tore the letter up, put it in the bin, and then took his ring. He is not serious about this girl. He is not serious, because the least he could have done is he could have phoned her immediately. Where are you? Let's talk. Let's discuss what's happened. I don't understand. Why have you gone? He knew he wasn't serious about her. He wanted to win. He wanted to get airtime from Netflix, and this is what he got. Billy and Ashley for me are another couple that I feel like should have split up already, because they did jump into the ocean. They were having a great time. They sat down for a chat, and still they're going on about this, oh, your job. And it's like, this man knew this was her job before. I don't get why Ashley continues to try and convince this man that he is her guy and she is his woman, because he has shown her, he has said it multiple times. For her to say, I'm heartbroken, I don't get it. He told you the first time and you had to convince him in order to get a proposal. He started again. Why continue to convince someone? Your person that really likes you and really loves you will be content with you as you come, and he will be willing to compromise just as you are. So if you are going to leave your job as flight crew, he needs to be willing to leave his job in the army, and we both work 9 to 5, and then we can spend more time together. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. For him to say to her, are you ready to say yes? And she said yes. She's been ready to say yes from the moment she met him. That's the impression that I get. And sadly, she's getting the Chelsea edit. If anyone remembers Chelsea from Kwame and Chelsea, their season, Chelsea came across as though she was desperate to get married to Kwame. And this is the situation we're getting with this woman. So hopefully there's more to their relationship than we're seeing. Of all the pod squad that Javen couldn't think of, he decided to have a conversation with Patrick. I don't know what he expected Patrick to say that would convince the viewers. I have a feeling he knew no one else would back his nonsense, and this is why he chose to go for Patrick, because he has a conversation with Patrick saying, just imagine Megan told Katisha that, I spent all night with Sophie, Yolanda, and Anu. And it's like, did you spend time with Sophie, Yolanda, and Anu? Yes. Did you go in the booth with Sophie? Yes. That's it. You're someone who is engaged to be married. You shouldn't be flirting with somebody else. And so for Patrick to say that she is not the one if she listens to what everybody else says, genius. He's already given, Katisha enough reason to doubt him. The way he was flirting with the girls at the Pod Squad meetup was enough to tell her that he's not her guy. So for you to say, oh, if she listens to other people, she's not the one. Well, maybe he's not the one as well if he's not ready to get married and is busy flirting with anything in a skirt. So you have Megan and Kieran come up to the apartment, because I have a feeling that this man had said to production, before I leave, I want to have a conversation. And because production needed some toxic and messy stuff, this is why they arranged it. So you have Megan and Kieran come up. They sit down. You have Javen saying, I want to clear my name. He says, I believe you some of the stuff you said was porkies. You were not accurate with your information. You said I spent the whole night with the girls, and I didn't spend the whole night with the girls. I spent some time with them. And then you had Megan actually call him out that you spent time with Anu, you spent time with Yolanda, you spent time with Sophie, and you even went into the photo booth with Sophie. He didn't expect that to come up. So when that came up, that's when he, in his mind, quickly sort of thought about it and said, well, there was no curtain on the photo booth, so it's not like I was doing anything inappropriate. What do you think I was doing? He knew what he wanted to say, and then he stopped himself before he said whatever he wanted to say. I think his goal was to ask her, or he expected to say, oh, well, you're making out with her. But Sophie didn't say that. And I love that Kieran backed this woman and said, everything that Megan has said is the truth, because I saw the same thing. And this backfired on his plan to sort of try and vindicate himself and try and look out like, these people are trying to make up stories about me. I'm innocent. He's not. We all saw him flirting with the girls. We all saw how inappropriate he was. And so if you're someone who's really got furious and is frustrated of talking to someone, you walk off. And most people like myself, we cry. We cry as a way of release. So for him to say Megan has walked off crying just because she knows she didn't tell the truth doesn't make sense. I know he did an interview where he tried to imply that he had a connection with Megan before, and he feels that because he had a connection and they were each other's top two, this is why she went and told Katisha that. And it's like, what does she stand to gain? It's not like her relationship is toxic. It's not like she's shown any interest that she still wants you back. So the idea that you feel like you have to justify yourself by messing somebody else doesn't make sense. So kudos to Kieran for sticking up for his woman. And you could tell when you had Javen trying to say, I didn't mean to make your missus cry. I just wanted to clear my name. Kieran just looked at him and just kept quiet. And I think the gentleman in him decided to keep quiet. And I can't wait to see what happens at the reunion, because I know this is going to be brought up. I really know this is going to be brought up. My predictions, who do I think will stay married? I have a feeling Kieran and Megan are still married, and Jed and Bardha, I feel, are still married. The other three couples, I don't think so. I might be in for a surprise, but hey. Anyway, thanks for stopping by. If you don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 7. Bye, everyone.